escape disappointment, can't avoid the delay, but I don't have to make feeling down and defeated the place that I stay. To the rise, to the moment, gonna speak to the waves, gonna push back the doubt that keeps dragging me down when I can't find a way. Don't need to see it, I'm sorry to believe it. Before you either move or make a way, I was standing. Hey guys, welcome in to a new episode or a new series I'd like to call "What Are We Doing Wednesday?" As in, what are we doing with the players who aren't performing? What are we doing with our team if they're underachieving? And the song that I hope you heard was "Stand in Faith" by Danny Gokey. Look, if you don't know who Danny Gokey is, he's a Christian artist who was on American Idol. Great story. Look, if you get a chance, go and subscribe to his podcast, Living La Vida Gokey. It's with him and his wife. Give you a little insight to their life, to behind the music, that kind of thing. He's a phenomenal artist and phenomenal music. Great story that he has. Please, on all of your listening platforms, go and listen to some Danny Gokey. That one was his new one, "Stand in Faith." And the words to the song are awesome. If you listen to it, you can kind of get a little something for fantasy football here. He's like, don't stay where you're at. Okay. Don't stay in the disappointment. Okay. It's like you can't avoid it, but don't stay there. You got to stand in faith. And a lot of us right now, some of you are sitting at 1-3, some of you are sitting at 0-4, and you all but given up hope on the season. Look, it's a long season. Stick to it. Stay in there. We're going to talk today. We're going to talk about some players that you need to target, some players that we need to talk about. Give me 1 second, guys. I got to take a little pause. All right, guys, sorry about that. You guys know I'm old school, and normally I have all my notes right here, but this week kind of had a little more, so I had to write them down. That's right. I still use pen and paper. I know, a little old-fashioned, but hey, that's me. So, as always, welcome to Faith in Football. My name is Neil, and I will be your host. And also, we're putting faith first. We're going to get to the football stuff, guys. Hold on. But first, we've always got to put the Lord first. And faith is part of the podcast. So faith comes first in Faith in Football. So here we go. Today's verse, we're coming from 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 26. It says, God chose things despised by the world, things counted as nothing at all, and used them to bring nothing what the world considers important. Now, here's what I want to ask you guys, is how many times have we asked ourselves, why is it so hard? Whether it's our job, our relationship, raising a family, it seems like it shouldn't be that hard, and maybe it's not supposed to be. God did not intend for us to struggle as much as some of us do. Yes, there are some struggles that are meant to be in your life, but sometimes we put them there ourselves. Sometimes, we think that if we work harder, if we have more money, that, by us working harder and having more and getting it ourselves, you've all heard the term, the phrase, God helps those that help themselves. A lot of times that term is used to justify greed. Somebody has something that we want, so we go get it, no matter the cost, no matter what it costs us, no matter what we put in front of God and his plan, we want to justify it. But here's the thing, we look at some of these NFL players, and we see all the things that they have, the fame and the money and things. And we're like, you know what? If I only had that, I'd be happy. Well, here's the thing, is that maybe you weren't supposed to have that. Maybe that's not what God intended for you. See, when we understand God's purpose for our lives, that's when we become truly content and truly satisfied and happy with what God has given us. God even says in the Bible, he wants to bless us, but we need to seek after what Christ has for us. We have to seek his meaning for our life, his purpose for us. We can't put our own spin on it. We can't cherry pick the Bible. We have to follow God's word. And a lot of us are trying to play in a league that we were never intended to be in. Not everybody can play in the NFL. Not everybody can play football. Not everybody can play sports, period. Some of us are meant to do other, different things. We're all meant to do different things. I mean, how boring would it be if we all did the same thing? So God chose people that the world deemed unimportant. When the spies went in to the Holy Land, when the Israelites had been banished for 40 years for disobeying and listening to a bad report, a fear report, they went in, and who they go to? They didn't go to like the mayor's house. They didn't go to some prominent figure and get help. God provided help in the form of a prostitute named Rahab. And you're sitting there going, well, why is this important? Well, here's the thing, is that God uses who he wants to use. He uses who the world would deem unimportant to glorify his name, so that we can't boast. We can't say, hey, I did this. Hey, I did that. I got to where I'm at because of me, my hard work. No. You got where you're at because that's where God intends you to be. So as you go out today, I want you to remember that, when you see that person that you deem less fortunate than you, maybe you're the one who's supposed to help them. And when you see someone who you deem more important than yourself and you desire to be where they're at, you don't know their struggle. You don't know what they went through to get there. And you don't know them. So when you see someone who's got more than you, be thankful. Use that time to be thankful for what you have. And yeah, it's great to, to strive after things. It's great to have a purpose. But here's what I want you to remember today, is that our purpose should be in line with God's purpose. So I hope that was helpful. I hope that was uplifting. So we're going to get into the second part of this show, which is football. Now, it's Wednesday. A lot of you are struggling to determine what to do on my waiver wire. And you guys always know, I point out my sponsors before we get rolling. Zia of Lafayette. It's not Zia's, it's just Zia. Zia Rotisserie and Bar on Fiducie Road in Lafayette, Louisiana. They are right in front of Red Laurel's Health Club and behind the Johnson Street Grand Theater. You can find them, like I said, off Fiducie Road. You can find them on Waiter. So if you're in the Lafayette area and you can't get by, you don't want to get out in the elements, or you don't want to fight the crowds or the traffic, I get it. I've driven Lafayette. It can get crazy. Let Waiter bring it to you. You can find them on Waiter. You can find them on DoorDash. If you want to go down, come on down. We'd be more than happy to have you. They're taking all the necessary precautions. They're still wearing masks. We should always sanitize. So come on down. Say hi to Heath and Leonard and Tucker, all the guys there. And ask for Neil. You might even see me. So go down there and look, guys. The grits are phenomenal. The rotisserie food is off the chain. And right now, we're doing some trout mock shoe that is out of this world. If you don't know what it is, come down and find out. It's the only way I can explain it to you, but it's awesome. Also, of course, as always, the sweetest sponsor I have is Keller's Bakery of Youngsville at 627 Lafayette Street off the Youngsville Highway. They are on Facebook for ordering, and you can check them out. And if you tell them that Neil from Faith and Football sent you, you get your 2 free mini cupcakes. Any flavor you want. They are phenomenal. They're little, bite size. Guys, what more can you ask for? You can go down there and get your donuts, get your king cake, get your cake, birthday cake, anniversary cake, whatever. Your pie. Their pies are off the chain. They have way too many for me to name, but go down there, check them out. They're awesome. My boy Dusty, who is in our League of Record, who is currently the only undefeated team. So props to Dusty. He actually edged me out last week, which I was not too happy about. But, you know. Or no, I'm sorry, the week before, I believe. So I actually won this week. But anyway, I digress. So normally we would have a Take a Step Back Tuesday. We didn't do that this week. We are doing the What Are We Doing Wednesday. So what are we doing with certain players? Look, Tom Brady had a down week. Don't worry about it. It was weather related. Now, one thing I want to point out about this, you need to pay attention because we're getting into that part of the season where weather is going to play a part in your lineup. Look, last year, I remember with Baker Mayfield, Baker had a horrible stretch, but he was playing in, snow. He was playing in driving rain. It was horrible conditions. So you want to make sure that when you do your lineups, you're checking the weather report. Yes, it can affect you, especially wide receivers and quarterbacks. Now, it's more beneficial for running backs because that's all you're going to be able to do is run the ball. You're not going to get a lot of passing. So if you have a choice in your flex between a top running back or a top wide receiver, I would recommend you go with a running back. Why? Like I said, it's going to be easier for them in bad weather to get points for you. There's not a whole lot of passing that happens in the driving rain. There's not a whole lot of passing that happens in snowstorms. Yes, you have those outliers every once in a while. You have those instances where they don't care. They'll throw the ball. But I do recall a couple of games a couple of years ago with Derrick Henry where he just ran roughshod over everybody and had absolutely killer games in bad weather. So something to remember also, Kirk Cousins. Look, I know Kirk had a down week, but he is the number 12 quarterback. In a lot of leagues, he's just a streamer. You can pick him up off your waiver wire on any given week. Make sure you check out his matchup and the health of Dalvin Cook. Because if Dalvin Cook is healthy, they're going to lean on him. Here's the thing. He's also part of the passing game. So check your matchup. If he has a good matchup, then go ahead and stream him if your normal starting quarterback has a rough time going. But don't give up on Kirk. You can still play him. It's okay. Next guy, running back. I'm going to try to give you guys 2 for every category, okay? Josh Jacobs. Look, Josh has a small sample size. He's only played 2 games. Week 1, where he scored 17 points. Then he got hurt, out for weeks 2 and 3. Going into week 4, they didn't know if he was going to play or not. So a lot of you sat him, and a lot of you were upset. So you thought Ronde Barber could come in and play, Peyton Barber. He thought Peyton Barber could come in and play, but he couldn't. He got 1 carry, if I'm not mistaken, and the rest was the Josh Jacobs show. So Josh had a phenomenal game. I don't remember his stat line off the top of my head. We'll look at it here in a second. Actually, I tell you what, let's go ahead and we'll pull this up now. And I know that my boy Daniel has Josh Jacobs. And as you see, he has not adjusted his lineup for this week, so he had him on his bench. So we're going to look at Josh's game log here. And you see the 17 points, and then let's see, 10.7. So he had himself a good game, better than what a lot of people thought he would. He's got Chicago coming up, so that's kind of a rough matchup. Rough matchup against Denver as well. And then he gets Philly, and then he gets a bye. Then he gets the Giants. Now, the Giants have been kind of up and down, so like I said, you're really not going to get a lot out of the evaluation of Josh Jacobs over just 2 weeks. Look, anybody can have a bad stretch. But here's the thing. Keep an eye on his health. If you get a bite at a trade, evaluate the trade fairly and make sure that you can get something out of him, okay? Some people are hurting at running back right now. The David Montgomery injury is killing a lot of people, because a lot of people who had David Montgomery also had Christian McCaffrey. So they've lost their number 1 and number 2 running back. So they are desperate. Look, take advantage of the desperation. Go out there, see what you can get. Maybe you're hurting a wide receiver. Make sure you're looking around your league for trade partners, okay? Next guy up, Alvin Kamara. Look, I don't know what to tell you about Kamara, but what I can tell you is that he's still a phenomenal talent. And here we go. Let's take a look at him real quick. 18, 7, 20, and then 12. So with the exception of week 2 and week 4, a lot of people really weren't too happy with him. He found the end zone in weeks 1 and 3, has not found it since the other 2 weeks against Carolina and the Giants. And as you see right here, there is no stat line for the passing. That's because for the first time, if I'm not mistaken, in his career, he didn't get a pass. He didn't even get a target. They didn't even throw to him. What they're doing, I have no idea. But be sure that Sean Payton will not let this happen again. They're going to be evaluating him. They're going to be making changes. They're going to be making adjustments. So don't worry. Hold fast. He is still a top 5 talent. He's just not being used in the right way. A lot of it has to do with the fact that they don't know who their quarterback truly is. Taysom Hill still comes in and out. Jameis Winston is still a starter. So really can't tell you what they're doing at quarterback, but what I can tell you is that Alvin Kamara is still a hot commodity. If you don't have him on your roster and you want him, go out, make an offer. And here's the thing. When you're making trade offers, look at more than just what you're giving up and what you're getting, okay? Look a little farther. Be a little on another level. You want to be playing chess when everyone else is playing checkers. What do I mean by that? I'm going to show you right now, because I actually have a trade offer in for Matt Stafford in our league of record. And I'm hoping this is going to show you. Let's see. No, it's not going to show. Probably because I did it on my phone. But here's what I have. I have a trade offer for Matt Stafford, and I put up Marvin Jones. And let me see. I got a lot of fantasy football up here today, guys. Sorry. Up here. So here's what I put up is I put up Matt Stafford. I'm trying to get Matt Stafford, and I put up Marvin Jones and Chuba Hubbard. You might be thinking, wait a minute, aren't you the CMC owner? Yes, I am. But I also made a trade for Saquon Barkley. So I got Barkley, and I've got Gibson, and I've got McKissick. So I've got McKissick as a backup, but he does have standalone fantasy value. Just this past week, he actually scored one more point than Gibson. Now, that was on one of those outlier plays where he got a swing pass, took it to the house, got a touchdown. That's why he got more points. But he still has standalone value because they still use him in multiple ways. Now, I'm giving up Marvin Jones. Jones has been productive, but I can still afford to lose him. What I did get was a report yesterday from Sleeper. And if you were not on the Sleeper app, what are you doing? Where are you getting your information? I will guarantee you it is not as fast as what Sleeper can do for you. Get on the Sleeper app, get the notifications, and be the first in your league to get the information. Because remember, information is king when it comes to fantasy football. You get the information first, you get to react on it, just like I did. I got a notification that Sean McVay wants to give Robert Woods more chances. And when you got a coach coming out and saying that, especially like McVay, believe it. So I'm believing that Robert Woods is going to have a little more of an upside, so I'm willing to hold on to him for one more week. No, I'm not happy with his production, and I was willing to trade him. But with this information, I withdrew my trade and proposed a different one. So what does a 2-for-1 do? A 2-for-1, which is what I just explained, was Marvin Jones and Chuba Hubbard for Matt Stafford. It does a couple of things. One, it goes ahead and it gives you an extra roster spot open. Okay, I wasn't using Chuba Hubbard anyway. Marvin Jones was interchangeable with some other players that I had on my bench, so I can afford to lose them. So it gives me one extra roster spot, and I've got Michael Thomas and Jerry Jeudy on IR. So I need an open roster spot to go ahead and get these guys back on my active roster, because as of week 7, Michael Thomas is going to be ready to go, hopefully. So I can bring him back from IR, put him on my bench, see how he plays, see if he's actually the talent that I drafted, or if he's done, then I can wait for him to have an outstanding killer game and trade him away for something better. So also with the Jerry Jeudy, I'm going to drop one guy who's not performing, and boom, I got a top flight wide receiver here as well. Also, what it does is it forces the person that you're trading with to drop someone that maybe they really wanted to hold on to, but they just can't pass up this trade. The guy I'm trading with also has Tom Brady as his quarterback, so he's willing to let go of Matt Stafford, even though Stafford's doing really well. So it forces your opponent to drop someone maybe a little better than what you have on your roster. Maybe you want to snatch them up, or maybe you just want to get it away from that team. See who he drops, check out the waiver wire, be the first to grab them. Boom, you got an extra player out of the deal that you probably wouldn't have gotten anyway. So, wide receiver, Adam Thielen. Look, I love his rest of the season. Dalvin Cook, he's a little dinged up. They're going to have to, at those times, they're going to have to lean more on the pass, and Adam Thielen is the guy to have that cleanup duty. Another guy, Tyler Lockett. Look, Tyler hasn't had that great of a season, not as expected or not as anticipated as some would want, but you can probably trade low for Tyler Lockett. As far as tight ends go, look, Jared Cook, he got in the game, he got a touchdown, great. He was a game plan. Don't get too excited about Jared Cook, because Mike Williams only had one catch for 11 yards. I know, because I had him in both my leagues. One league I needed him, one league I didn't. The league I needed him, of course, I lost. and I lost by what he probably averages. So I was hoping for a better game out of him because I was going up against the Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen owner. Keenan Allen didn't do that great either, but look, you're not going to run out and try to pick up Jared Cook. You're not going to expect that kind of performance every single week. They've got 2 tight ends there, and you're not going to be able to pick which one with any kind of confidence. Also, Kyle Pitts, look, wait a week, maybe work on a trade. Look, week 5, he gets the Jets. He had a decent showing against Washington. He gets the Jets in week 5, and he has a bye in week 6. Now, here's the thing. If he does well against the Jets this coming week, then you can shop him for somebody who's hurting a tight end, maybe the Gronk owner, maybe the Kittle owner. Okay, these guys have been underperforming like crazy, so they're dying for a tight end that's actually performing. You can start to see an uptick in Kyle Pitts, then you can go ahead and trade. Now, a guy that I'm totally out on, and the list of players that I'm fixing to give you right here are players that I want to get away from. I want to get away from Ryan Tannehill at quarterback. Why? He's missing AJ, he's missing Julio, and Derrick Henry is the number 1 option. I mean, don't get crazy with this. It's not that hard, okay? It's not rocket science. They're going to hand the ball to Derrick Henry. He is their number 1 option. He is their game plan, okay? And everybody knows it. So Tannehill has not been what he was. If he gets AJ back, if he gets Julio back, look, if you're in a spot right now where you're 1-3, you're 0-4, you're 2-2 and on the verge, go ahead, ship him off, possibly, and I hate to say this, possibly even drop him and make him someone else's headache. Okay. I really don't have a decent quarterback that you are probably rostering that I want to get away from more. So running back, Mike Davis. Look, it is time to move on from the Mike Davis experience. Last year, he was awesome. He was great as a fill-in. My wife had him because she was a CMC owner. She went out and got him immediately after the CMC injury last year. So he was great to have, but it's over. Cordell Patterson is the man in Atlanta. He has been absolutely balling out. And if he is still on your waiver wire, go get him. What are you waiting for? There was a stat I saw come through when I was listening to the Fantasy Footballers. And if you were not subscribed to them, please go check them out too. They are a phenomenal podcast that you need to be listening to for your fantasy advice and information. Remember, I always encourage you to get multiple sources for your fantasy information. But there was a stat out there that was talking about if Derrick Henry didn't exist, Cordell Patterson would be the number 1 running back by 9 points right now. That's nuts. This guy went undrafted in a lot of your drafts. Was on the waiver wire probably through week 2. Week 3, he started getting picked up. In week 4, he should be rostered totally in every single league. Amazingly, he was not in my listener league with 103.7 a game. So I got a waiver claim in for him, and we're waiting to see when that's going to process. As a matter of fact, let me check that out right now. Here we go. And I don't believe that they have. Oh, they did. They have gone through. And apparently I was out of line for. Yep, I missed them. So Cordell Patterson on someone else's squad. I didn't take time to go look. I thought he would have been rostered, but he wasn't. I was about a week late. So that's what happens, guys. So next up, CEH. Look, I know CEH had a good week. He had a good week before that. He had 100 yards, found the end zone last week. So a lot of you are probably thinking that he's turned the corner. He's, had to change. They're going to be using him more. Look, they just signed Josh Gordon. Okay, he's making his debut this week. My suggestion, trade CH away. Let him be someone else's headache. Go trade high off of this past week where they actually used him. Talk him up. Be like, hey, he got 100 yards. He's just clogging on my bench, yada, 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 whatever. But step away from him, okay? Next up, Allen Robinson. Look, the ballers hit the panic button on Allen Robinson. I will as well. So I'm telling you right now, with the absolute debacle that is the Chicago Bears right now, you don't know who their quarterback is going to be. I don't even think Matt Nagy knows who their quarterback is going to be. So please, if you can trade on his name, you might be able to get a little more than if you trade on his performance, because he's been absolutely horrid because of his quarterback play. If Dalton comes back and is healthy, great. But are you going to take that risk? If you need to make a change, make it. Don't be scared. Just go for it. Okay. Robert Woods, we already talked about. He's one guy I would love to trade on his name with this information that came out. I'm waiting 1 week, and then we'll see what happens. Now, my substitute for this is OBJ. Look, I don't know what's going on with OBJ in Cleveland, but whenever he steps on the field, Baker Mayfield turns into his old self prior to Stefanski coming in. Kevin Stefanski comes in. He's great. Baker's streamable. He's connecting with Jarvis Landry. Landry's hurt right now, so they got OBJ back. Look, Odell is not what he used to be, okay? So if you have OBJ and you're just holding out hope, let it go, okay? Be like Elsa. Yes, I'm referencing Frozen, and let it go, okay? Tight end, Robert Tonyan and Gronk. Look, Gronk is beat up. He's got the bruised ribs. He had a punctured lung. He's done. Done, okay? Foot Clan, you know what I'm talking about when I say DUN. Robert Tonyan, look, the Robert Tonyan experiment is great, but Randall Cobb is in town. We all saw what Randall Cobb was last week. Please, in the Robert Tonyan experience, go get you some Dawson Knox. Yes, Dawson Knox from Buffalo. The Bills are actually using their tight end, so please go and check him out, all right? So, I think that will do it for What Are We Doing Wednesday. Now, here's what I want you guys to do. Follow me on Twitter. I don't know if you can see this or not, but at Faith, the letter N, football 1. Okay, that's at Faith, the letter N, football 1. Ask me your questions. I don't know who's on your roster, and if you want to send me a screenshot of your roster, I'll evaluate it for you and maybe suggest some players for you to go after. Okay, let me know who's on your waiver wire, things like that, who you're looking at, who you're thinking about. If you've got any trade proposals that you need some help with evaluating, I'm more than happy to help you guys. I'm here for y'all. So I want you guys to be there for each other. Remember, uplift each other in Christ. Keep the word in you, and the word will lead you. So, guys, until next time, which will be tomorrow on Throttle Up Thursday, get those lineups ready, get them set. We're going to preview the Thursday night matchup. Look, a lot of fantasy implications going on in that one, but tune in tomorrow for that one. We will see you next time on Faith and Football.